He's going to bam on folks like Victor Oladipo.
Finally, Lakers, Pacers, and Victor Oladipo come flying in out of nowhere as the Pacers won this game.
CC, he the league's most improved player?
We haven't seen a player probably improve more than him. I mean, he was getting ready to go off the map there from a star standpoint. Went from OKC to Orlando and was like, where are you going from here? The G League? No, he came back to superstar status there, going back to Indiana where he went to college.
I undersold Ben, who was the final pick of the lottery, 14th pick, not 22nd pick.
Time now for drawing a blank. Just say any numbers. Sam Darnold has his pro day tomorrow at USC. Darnold expected by many to be the first pick in the draft, heading to the Browns. CC, the quarterback that Sam Darnold reminds you of the most is blank.
I'm going to go back to a guy who had a great career leading Florida State to a national championship. That's Jameis Winston. And the reason why I go to Jameis Winston, because I believe that his ceiling is one day he can be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. But also the reason why inconsistency in his throwing motion and completion percentage. What's the third thing? Turnovers. A little careless with the football. I believe Sam Darnold has the type of talent that he is going to be an elite passer in this league. He is the most polished of the, I think he's the safest of all the quarterbacks in this year's draft. But if you want to look at someone and do an eyeball test, look down in Tampa Bay at Jameis Winston.
For a lot of the same characteristics, I'm going to pick a different guy. Polished, safe, but turnover prone. Can make all the throws, but also can make you scratch your head with some of the throws he makes. Eli Manning, a guy who also went #1 overall in his draft, as I think Sam Darnold will. He can really impress you and then also vex you with some of his decision-making. They don't have a similar throwing motion, I'm not saying that, but as far as their traits, their production, what their ability is, Sam Darnold and Eli, that is the one that I see for him.
All right, moving on to the other LA-based quarterback, Josh Rosen. He had his pro day this past week. One former scout called him the most polished quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. So, Nick, the quarterback Josh Rosen reminds you of most is blank.
A guy that also has a slight frame. A guy that also has excellent mechanics. And a guy that can read the full football field and make full progressions, Matt Ryan. Matty Ice. Now, not necessarily the same profile coming out of Boston College, even though Matt Ryan went 4th overall in his draft, I do believe. Rosen, I think, has more hype than Matt Ryan, but they remind me of each other body type-wise and ability to make all the throws on the field, so I'm going with Matty Ice.
I don't think Matty Ice might be a little tougher being from Philadelphia. They breed him a little bit tougher there. If I'm looking at Josh Rosen, who do I look at? And I believe that the supporting cast around him is paramount. Jared Goff, the quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, very, very similar as far as the way they were raised on the West Coast. I believe that if he was in a warmer climate, doesn't have massive hands, he would be more productive, and he needs the skilled guys around him. Like Goff has with Todd Gurley and some of the other weapons, I believe it's important for him. We saw Goff struggle when he didn't have the weapons. Then we saw him when he did have the weapons. Seemed like he resurrected his whole career. So Jared Goff is probably the best comparison that I have for Josh Rosen.
All right, moving on to Josh Allen. He'll have his pro day at Wyoming on Friday, and he still may have plenty to prove if he wants to climb up the draft board. CC, the quarterback Josh Allen reminds you of is blank.
There's two quarterbacks. There's not one, because in size, he looks a lot like Cam Newton. In overall passing ability, he's like Blake Bortles. Now, people will say, well, man, Blake Bortles, well, that's not a compliment. Well, Blake Bortles coming into the league, because that's what we're comparing him to. When they were coming into the league, has the body and the arm of a Cam, but has the inconsistencies with his throwing motion of someone like Blake Bortles. So, for me, I believe it's very important, just like it was for Cam. Mike Shula put that offense around him where Cam could be successful. They got to do some things that he did at Wyoming to make him successful, and they got to have a deep threat. What does he throw best? Of all the guys in this, that's throwing the ball deep. You got to go to complete those passes. So putting those wide receivers, speedy wide receivers around him becomes very important.
Josh Allen is 6'5", 233 pounds with 33-inch arms and 10-inch hands. There's a quarterback who's 6'4", 233 pounds, 33-inch hands and 33-inch arms and 10-inch hands. 33-inch hands would be very impressive.
He could play for Mike.
Right. Who had the questions about him coming out of college were lack of accuracy, just barely a 60% passer, but he went in the first round anyway. His name is Blaine Gabbert, a guy who had all the measurables at the combine, you were like, you had Missouri, he was inaccurate, but man, he's big, he's strong, he's tough, he can make the throws. Never put it together in the pros. I don't wish that upon Josh Allen, but that's the best comparison I can come up with for a quarterback I'm not very bullish on, and Josh Allen is Blaine Gabbert.
All right, moving on to Baker Mayfield. He participated in Oklahoma's pro day last week, saying, quote, I put myself in a good spot to be considered the best quarterback in the draft. CC, the quarterback Baker Mayfield reminds you of most is blank.
With Baker Mayfield, I believe Baker likes the underdog role. He walked on in college to 2 different places, Texas Tech and at Oklahoma. There's any other quarterback that has that lack of height and also maybe transferred, or people gave up on him. Russell Wilson transferred from NC State to Wisconsin, took that program to heights there, came into the league. When he came into the league, he became more of a scrambler, more scrambling for his life than he was in college. To me, Baker Mayfield reminds me of him not only because of those traits, but also his throwing motion. Right over the top with his elbow up high that doesn't negate his height, bring him down lower. So Baker Mayfield, to me, has similar traits to Russell Wilson and what I saw when he came out of Wisconsin.
I'll be very quick here because I totally agree. The height, the throwing motion, some of the story, even though Baker's obviously going to be a higher pick than Russell Wilson was, for all those reasons.
Because Russell was successful.
Exactly. If Russell Wilson doesn't exist, people are not considering Baker Mayfield as first-round pick. But because now we have Drew Brees and Russell Wilson been successful at that height, Baker now has the ability to go in as a first-round pick. But I agree 100%. Russell Wilson's the guy.
All right, non-quarterback Saquon Barkley. He'll participate in Penn State's pro day today. Many think he's the best non-quarterback in the draft, and he could go as early as number 2 overall to the New York Giants. So, Nick, the player Saquon Barkley reminds you of is blank.
Listen, this is tough because I'm going to compare him to a Hall of Famer. I'm going to compare him to one of the best dual-purpose, dual-threat backs in NFL history. I'm going to compare him to Marshall Faulk, a guy who, similar thickness as far as similar body type, similar ability to go catch the football, ability to break any play for a touchdown and make people miss. Not necessarily the guy that you know on 3rd and 4 we can give it to him and he's going to get you 4.5, but absolutely the guy that on 3rd and 12 you can toss the ball out to and he might get you 25. I say Marshall Faulk, even though that is a very high bar for Saquon Barkley to reach.
I love the Marshall Faulk comparison. He was also coming out of San Diego State. He was a tremendous special teams player, immediate impact in the kicking game. He evolved into being the Hall of Fame player. If I'm looking at a player, I'm going to go with a guy playing right now, LaShawn McCoy, because his ability to come out of the backfield, the question marks of is he as durable as Zeke or as L. Bell, who also came from the Big Ten. Their careers were more dominant, but I'm looking for a guy who I'm going to try to get in open space, a guy I can build my running attack around. Shady McCoy and Saquon Barkley, to me, have very, very similar skill sets, and I look for him to have the same type of career.
Good stuff, guys. On an unrelated note, Marshall Faulk and I share a birthday.
Oh,
yeah.
Happy late
February
birthday.
26th.
There you go.
Thought I'd say it. Good stuff. Coming up, did the Broncos make the right move staying out of the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes? That's next on First Things First.
Exact same year as well?
Yeah, the exact same.